JSON, JavaScript Object Notation. JSON is a data interchange format, although not a strict subset. JSON closely resembles a subset of JavaScript syntax. Though many programming languages support JSON, it is especially useful for JavaScript-based apps, including websites and browser extensions. JSON can represent numbers, booleans, strings, null, arrays, or their sequences of values, and objects, string value mappings, made up of these values or of other arrays and objects. JSON does not natively represent more complex data types like functions, regular expressions, dates, and so on. Date objects by default serialize to a string containing the date and ISO that stands for International Organization of Standardization format. So the information isn't completely lost. If you need JSON to represent additional data types, transfer values as they are serialized or before they are deserialized. So this is the basic definition that we have. We also have this definition in this link. The JSON object contains methods for parsing JavaScript object notation, JSON, and converting values to JSON. It cannot be called or constructed. Here we have the description. Unlike most global objects, JSON is not a constructor. You cannot use it with a new operator or invoke the JSON object as a function. All properties and methods of JSON are static, just like the math object. And here is the article. Here is the link for the article if you want to read more about it. So, JavaScript and JSON differences. JSON is a syntax for serializing objects, arrays, numbers, strings, booleans, and null. It is based upon JavaScript syntax, but is distinct from JavaScript. Most of JavaScript is not JSON. For example, we have objects and arrays. Property names must be double-quoted strings. Trailing commas are forbidden. Numbers. Leading zeros are prohibited. A decimal point must be followed by at least one digit. None and infinity are unsupported. Any JSON text is a valid JavaScript expression, but only after the JSON superset revision. Before the revision, U plus 2028 line separator and U plus 2029 paragraph separator are allowed, and string literals and property keys in JSON. But the same use in JavaScript, string literals, is a syntax error. Other differences include allowing only double-quoted strings and no support for undefined or comments. For those who wish to use a more human-friendly configuration format based on JSON, there is JSON 5 used by the Babel compiler and the more commonly used YAML. The same text may represent different values in JavaScript object literals versus JSON as well. For more information, see object literal syntax versus JSON. So this is the link, you can read this article. Full JSON grammar. Valid JSON syntax is formally defined by the following grammar, expressing the ABNF and copied from the IETF JSON standard RFC. And here are the links if you want to read more about it. So this is the the full JSON grammar. As you can see, we have this example they given us here. That is that. Insignificant white space may be present anywhere except within a JSON number. Numbers must contain no white space or JSON string, where it is interpreted as the corresponding character in the string, or would cause an error. The tab character U plus 0009, carriage return U plus 000D, line feed U plus 000A, and space U plus 0020. Characters are the only valid white space characters. And we have the static properties. JSON, we have brackets, double add to string tag, and we close brackets. That is the initial value of the double add to a string tag property is the string JSON. This property is used in object that prototype that to a string, and here are the links if you want to read more about these articles. Then we have the static methods, JSON.parse. Parse a piece of string text as JSON, optionally transforming the produced value and its properties and return the value. We have the JSON.stringify, returns a JSON string corresponding to the specified value, optionally including only certain properties or replacing property values in a user-defined manner. And then we have some examples. So here we have an example of JSON. We open curly braces, and then we have inside double quotes, we're gonna have this word, for example, in this case, browsers. Outside of the double quotes, we're gonna use colon, and outside of the colons, we're gonna use curly braces, and inside of the curly braces, again, we're gonna use double quotes, and we're gonna use this time the word Firefox. Outside of the double quotes, we're gonna put colon, and then again, we're gonna use curly braces, and we're gonna have the name. We're gonna have inside of the double quotes name. So every time we're gonna have double quotes here. So inside of the double quotes, we have name, we have the column, and then we're gonna have Firefox inside double quotes. Then we separated by a comma here, and then we have inside of the double quotes pref_URL colon, and again inside of the double quotes about colon config. We put a comma here, then we have releases, and as you can see, we use double quotes. It's very similar to the objects when you have key value pairs, but instead of having a key, when you have the key, you don't have the double quotes, but in this case we have double quotes for this first word, for example. So we have that inside of the double quotes releases, then we have colon, then we have again curly braces, then we have inside of the double quotes the number 1, then colon, and then the curly braces. And pretty much this is the example for JSON. You can use the JSON.parse method to convert the above JSON string into a JavaScript object. So now if you wanna convert it to JavaScript, we can grab this example and we can go to any tab and just press Ctrl+Shift+I, and we can just paste it here. This example is pretty much the same as this one. The only thing that is changing is that we are declaring a constant named JSON text, and we're using camel notation here. So the first letter of the next word is initialized with capital letter, and then we use the equal sign, and this time we're using backticks, and then pretty much the whole thing is the same. So in this case, if we press, after we finish with the backticks, we're gonna put a semicolon at the end, and now we're gonna cancel that log. Inside of the parentheses, we're gonna cancel that log JSON that parse, and inside of the parentheses, we're gonna pass the name of the constant. In this case is JSON text. So we press enter, and we're gonna get the browser. We're gonna get this object. So as you can see, we have browser here, we have browser, then we have Firefox inside browser. So we click here, we're gonna hit Firefox. Inside of Firefox, we're gonna have a name pref_URL releases, and inside of releases we're gonna have the number 1. So we press this, we click here, we're gonna have the number 1. Inside of the number 1 we're gonna have releases date, status, engine, and engine version. So if I click here, I'm gonna have engine version, release date, and status. And as you can see, release date is gonna be 2004-11-09. Status is gonna be retire. Engine is gonna be Gecko, engine underscore version is going to be 1.7. So the only difference with the JSON example is over here is that we don't use backticks, we don't use the constant declaration, and we don't use the equal sign. And also, well, right now we saw it here in the Chrome developer tools, but we can also check it out with Visual Studio Code. So you need two files, an HTML text and a JavaScript file. So in HTML, what we are gonna do is just press Shift exclamation mark and then press enter. So now inside of the body we're gonna have a script. So we're gonna have a script. Inside of the script we're gonna have the source, and inside of the source we're gonna put the name of our JavaScript. In my case is test.js, so that is the name that I'm gonna put here. So right now my JavaScript file is connected to my HTML. So right now I'm just gonna grab this example. I'm gonna grab this example here, and I'm gonna paste it in my JavaScript file. I'm gonna save it, and again we have a constant declaration, and the constant name is JSON text. We're using camel notation, so the first letter of the next word has to be capital letter. So now we use the equal sign, we use backticks, we open curly braces, and then we use double quotes for browser, then we use colon, then we use another curly braces. Again, then we have double quotes. Inside of the double quotes we're gonna use Firefox, colon, curly braces, we're gonna use again double quotes name, colon, and double quotes we're gonna put Firefox, and we're gonna follow this example until the end. So finally we're gonna close all the curly braces, we're gonna close the backticks, and we're gonna end the statement with a semicolon. Outside of that we're gonna cancel that log, and we're gonna use inside of the parentheses we're gonna use the JSON.parse, and inside of the parentheses of the JSON.parse we're gonna pass in the name of the constant, and the name of the constant in this case is gonna be JSON text. So now we save it, and what we're gonna do is go to the test HTML, and we're gonna open it. So we go here and right click, and we're gonna open with live server. So we go here and we press Ctrl Shift I, and there you have it. We're gonna have here this object, and here it's gonna we're gonna have the browser. Inside of the browser is gonna be the Firefox. So we have browser, inside of the browser is gonna be the Firefox. And here is this example. Inside of the Firefox we're gonna have name. So we're gonna have name, pref_url, releases, and inside of releases we're gonna have number 1. Inside of releases we're gonna have number 1. Inside of number 1 we're gonna have release day, status, engine, and engine underscore version. So we go here and we have engine gecko, engine underscore version 1.7, release underscore day is 2004 11/9, and then status is going to be retired. And as you can see, it is the same here.